On this episode, we have Vancouver author Jordan West.
I was born in Northern Ontario. Luckily, we moved to Vancouver Island when I was quite young, and kind of hit like a weird depression when I was in my teens. My parents were divorced, and then I went through a really bad breakup. And so my mom was like, well, you should see a shrink. He was really great, considering I was such an asshole to him. I wouldn't speak for like a month. And then eventually, I guess I opened up, and he was like, you know, I think that you need to find a creative outlet for your sadness and your anger. So as any sad bastard would do, I started writing poetry.
Do you have any mentors then in this whole process?
Yeah, I have one big influence in my life. My friend Lon Friend.
Oh, Lon, if you're watching, hello.
Yeah, hi Lon. He's a pretty iconic music journalist from LA, and then also an author. And he's always just been like kind of in my corner, pushing me to just do it. And you know, he's always been really real with me about the industry, and never really sugarcoated anything. Like, was always, yeah, it's hard. And you know, if I write something that's shit, he's like, yeah, that one was shit.
Besides Lon, any other inspirations or like any other person that like, you modeled your writing after, kind of thing, or your poetry? I
mean, I've always been a fan of the greats, right? Like Hunter Thompson, Kerouac, Bukowski. Obviously, you know, I grew up reading them. But I guess my like major like modern day influence would probably be Chuck Klosterman. He's got this like way of breaking down cultural situations with really witty metaphors that just make his writing so fun to read.
Before your book, you've written for some publications.
Yeah, so I started out doing music journalism, so I did a lot of like concert reviews, band bios, a lot of band bios. And from there I went to, or actually I was offered this job. This gal kind of approached me, and she said she had this relationship and dating website. It was called ifheonlyknew.com. And she asked me if I'd be interested in writing like a satirical relationship advice column for her. So I did that for a while. And then from there I went to Hush magazine. A friend of mine who, she was an editor just before the magazine was launching, so they had picked her up to edit. And once they had sort of gone to online publication, she contacted me. And I was always writing these like rants on like Facebook. Yeah. And one kind of picked up a little bit of steam, and it was called Tips from a Bartender, and it was about tipping in the industry and basically just ranting about,
over tipping.
And so she approached me and asked me if they could run it. So obviously I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And it went viral, and I got a lot of hate mail for that one. That was great.
Really?
A lot of fun.
Bring it on.
There's people, like, it was bizarre. But yeah, and then because it did so well for them, they decided that they wanted to go to print. So they brought me in for a meeting on that and asked if I'd be interested in writing a column for them there. So, and that was going to be The Worst of Vancouver, which was kind of like a tongue-in-cheek spin-off of the Georgia Strait's Best of Vancouver.
Yeah.
You know, like every issue you can just rant about like whatever you want. I was like, all right, it's like I'm like Peter Griffin.
Yeah.
It really grinds my gears. So yeah.
Well, I remember reading one about the steam clock. I think you
yes,
did one.
yes, I did. I can bitch about anything.
Yeah.
Just anything.
Well, where did you get your humor and your sass from? What would you say?
I don't know. My brain is weird.
Yeah.
I see things weirdly, and I'm very self-loathing and very cynical. So I try to, and that I guess is probably part of my depression that I went through. I just found a way to kind of turn it into humor.
Before we talk about the book, you actually told me you have written a screenplay, or in the works of written a screenplay.
Oh, yes, we did. My girlfriend and I, she approached me with this idea, and she's not a writer. but it was a really great idea. And she's like, listen, if you help me write this, I can, I've got the connections in the industry. She's an actress. So I helped her write it, and we were pretty proud of it. So now it's kind of in her hands.
Why the book?
Why the book? I think that there's just the market for relationship advice. I'll put it in quotes because it's, I don't know how, you know, how much you're going to get from it. Just kidding. I think that the market's always, it's constant. And, you know, it's always obviously like an obvious comparison is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And that was sort of what triggered me to write this book. Was I just kind of felt that it's outdated. And I think the new age reader was like ready for like a more honest and cynical approach to the weird and often confusing world of dating.
Well, so many things have changed since then, like there's social media,
Oh my God.
and there's
Yeah,
online dating,
exactly.
and Tinder, and all that good stuff, right? So.
And that was it. His version is so self-help style. You know, it's dry.
How long did it take you to
I
write
shouldn't
that?
say that.
You tell me it's dry. I haven't read it, but.
From start to finish, 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
It shouldn't have taken that long.
You're a busy person.
Yeah, and I got a job offer to ghostwrite an autobiography for somebody else.
Oh, really?
Just after I'd finished my draft. So I put it on the back burner.
What did you learn from writing this book?
I don't know. Honestly, it was more therapeutic, I think, than anything.
Yeah.
It was just, I was able to kind of unload and let it go and move on.
How were you able to, what routes did you take to get it published? Like, how did you go about doing it? Where can people find it?
I self-published this. So I went through this company called CreateSpace. I hired a proofreader, obviously. Anyone who is wanting to self-publish, don't think that you are good enough to just publish a book on your own accord.
Okay.
Get a proofreader.
Get a proofreader.
Yeah, so I hired this proofreader. She was great. And then I had to hire a formatter because I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm so terrible with computers. And then I have this friend who helped me with the cover. I already knew what I wanted. He was just able to put it on the template and kind of give it what it needed, I guess.
Exactly.
And and then you just kind of go through the steps through CreateSpace, and you hit send, and all of a sudden it's live, and
It's great. Like,
it's on Amazon. It goes direct, so I don't have to deal with anything. They just send me checks.
so people can find it on Amazon. And there's a link, obviously, on your social media, I'm sure. Or
Yes.
just
There's a link to my website on my Instagram and on my Facebook. And then, or you can just Google All Men Are Assholes on Amazon, and it'll come up right away.
What is the book about, basically?
I basically, I set out, I've had this theory that the ultimate goal for a man is to like find a low-level lunatic that he can kind of settle down with. And the ultimate goal for a woman is to find an asshole who doesn't make them any crazier than they are. So I just went with it from there. That was my original thought, and I was like, okay, now I need to base an entire book on this idea. How am I going to do it?
Did it flow? Did it just come naturally?
No.
Or did you
Oh
have
my
to-
God,
okay.
no. It's funny. I was dating this guy, and we were having brunch one morning, and he was a really good friend of mine. And we were just kind of talking about the dynamic of men and women and relationships. And so he said something, or I said something, and he was like, "Yeah, well, all guys are assholes, anyways." And I was like, "Yeah, and all chicks are crazy." And then it just kind of stuck with me for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And I eventually was like, okay, I should write this into a book. I just couldn't figure out how to do it.
Do you think that could be written into a movie someday?
I think especially since writing the screenplay, because I did the final edit and rewrite on this after I wrote that screenplay, because I learned how to write dialogue in writing the screenplay, and people don't know how to write dialogue at all. And my ex was a screenwriter, or is a screenwriter, and he kind of taught me how to write dialogue. So that's kind of what triggered me to go back through and do the rewrite.
Okay.
So I think in my mind, as I was doing that rewrite, I was writing it in a sort of screenplay kind of format. So, I was kind of subconsciously because everyone says that to me. They're like, it reads
Really?
like a movie. I'm like,
There you go.
yeah. So
Put in the universe right now.
yeah.
Any future projects coming on? Is there another book coming on, or any other like writing
Well,
gigs?
I got hired. I was hired to do the ghostwrite, the autobiography. So I've been working on that for a couple years. It's just a massive research project, but it's been a lot of fun. Definitely a learning curve. So that should probably be coming out in the next year or so.
Okay.
And I've just begun outlining my next book, but I don't want to talk
Give
about
away
it.
yet.
No, I can't.
Any advice for anyone that wants to write a book or poetry or anything?
Don't talk about it. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares about what you say you're going to do. You know, I think people these days are so focused on projecting the image of success that they're forgetting to actually succeed.
How can people find you then?
Other than, getting day drunk at Pub 340. Yeah, I'm on Instagram at the fake Jordan West or at the fake Jordan West.
Okay.
And then at my book Instagram is All Men Are A-Holes, I believe, as well as the Twitter, which I don't use. So
It's funny because I thought you'd be like a perfect
everyone,
Twitter.
I know everyone's. I think by the time I kind of got a little interested in it, I was like, it's too late. Like, it's just
It's
everyone.
never too late, I suppose.
Well, for
Is
Twitter,
there not
maybe.
enough characters maybe in Twitter that you need more?
I need more than 140.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. People always say that, like, because my Facebook statuses are always just me being a dick about something.
Or just like general thoughts about whatever funny things that are just.
Yeah, I know. I procrastinated, and now I just don't care, to be honest.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jordan, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
What's your fucking story, Vancouver?